Ian, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me, mate. Thank you.
I've got to say, Ian, I'm very much looking forward to this conversation today.
I'm sure you say that to all the people.
Yeah, but look, hey, it's not every day that I have the opportunity to sit beside or opposite, arguably someone who changed the game.
I'll take that as a compliment, mate. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Wow.
Well, I think about when I was growing up as a kid, he set a precedent, in my view, on a couple of things. I wrote them down actually: physical prowess, discipline, toughness, and humility. And for those who haven't witnessed, had the opportunity to see Ian Robertson full flight and play the great game of rugby league, this will be, I think, a special occasion, which will run far deeper than I think the normal football field conversation will. And for those like me who stood in awe, and I did stand in awe, watching you, I think I've still got your poster of your training gear all those years ago.
Oh,
Watching you revolutionise the front row position, and you changed it completely. And also, I've had the opportunity to know a little bit more about you and some of the feats that you've done. So I think this is going to be one fascinating story.
that's a very flattering introduction. Thank you, mate.
Well, so Ian, you are a kangaroo, you're a state of origin enforcer, as well as an ex-player of South Sydney, Wigan, Manly, and the captain of the Cowboys. You're also an actor and an activist, and have attempted a few runs in politics, I read earlier today as well. However, I think it's pretty fair to say, Ian, nothing's ever been given to you on a platter. You've had to work exceptionally hard for everything. So we're going to explore a number of themes today, but for me, the big one is leadership in the game of life and what created your character. So Ian, let's hear today the real Ian Roberts story. Where did it begin, Ian? Where are you from originally?
Um, I'm English. My mum and dad, my brother and my older brother and my older sister, we're all 10-pound poms.
Okay.
I come over here. I would have been 18. My mum and dad had 3 kids in tow, all under the age of 4. And they literally were coming out here for a better life for us.
Whereabouts did you grow up in England?
Well, my mum and dad were for Chelsea and Battersea, which is very
yeah.
very posh now.
It is.
It
West
wasn't-
End,
it
nice part
wasn't-
of the world.
Yeah, it is very fancy now, but
Yeah.
it wasn't when they were there.
Yeah.
And I don't like to say this, but my mum and dad. I should make it clear. I grew up in a very loving family, right? But I also grew up in what would be described as a family that had very racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic views.
Probably typical of the time.
Yeah, and in truth, I mean, in truth, my mum and dad, and I'll just use the language that they would use, were leaving England because there was too many blacks coming to England.
Yeah, right.
Now I say all that, but I'll go on later and say my mum and dad, their story is just as interesting as mine because of the way they shifted, their views and
Okay.
totally did a 180 after being here and being seduced by Australia. Just how wonderful it is and how diverse it is, and obviously my situation later in life, really helped them on that journey.
So what did mum and dad do? And where did you
We grew
where
up.
was
Well,
Diggs here in Australia?
yeah. This is kind of part of my this area. I grew up in Maryborough, Housing Commission. Then we went to South Coogee, Housing Commission.
Okay.
Mum and Dad bought their first house in Botany, which is not too far from here.
Yeah.
And then they moved to Botany when I was about 15. Education. My mum and dad. And I'm not belittling what they were doing. My dad was a process worker. My mum was a cleaner.
Okay.
Education wasn't valued.
Yeah.
In my house, but like I keep saying, I'm making my mum and dad sound very dark. I grew up in a really wonderful, joyous, loving household.
Yep.
It wasn't. There was never any fear of, and they definitely felt that. But education wasn't valued because they'd had no education. My sisters, my younger sister Kylie was born here a couple of years after Mum and Dad arrived, so there was 4 kids.
Mhm.
And school was really just almost like a a daycare centre for my mum and dad while they went to work, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, but,
Was it Botany Public or where are you at?
I went to Moomba Bay. I went to
Okay.
Moomba Bay from kindergarten right through to high school. So it's funny, we're talking about that now, you're saying about some of the things that shape you. I used to be real, so even now when I talk about it, it makes me a bit funny to talk about. I've always known I'm same-sex attracted, right? Like we'll speak about that later, obviously. And
You've always known.
I've always known. I've never felt any different, right? Like
Right.
I've always been I've always been okay with it. Like
Yeah, yeah.
like I've never felt like it was wrong, but I've always known everyone else seemed to feel that way.
Yep.
I was never uncomfortable. I never felt shameful of that ever in my whole life. Like I've never had any sort of internalized homophobia or anything like that. Even as a kid, I never felt like it was the wrong thing. It was wrong. The thing that really shaped me, and I say this all the time, is I was diagnosed with dyslexia very late in my life, but that wasn't a thing when you were a kid.
And it's a pretty good crowd. Jerry Packer and his sons
Dyslexia
both
just
have it.
wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
You were just dumb. I used to go to special classes and that.
Yeah, okay.
And I couldn't read. I didn't learn to read and write. I mean, I'm no Shakespeare now, right? But I can read and write, and that's only because I went to NIDA later in my life and through phonetics learnt to basically relearn to read and write.
Okay.
But as a kid, it always used to be the most shameful thing that I couldn't read or write. And I was always that kid in class when you were reading from the book, was in English or whatever. The teacher asked you to get up and read.
Oh, yeah.
I was that kid that was just made it about something else. I kicked the tables over and get sent out. I was
Just avoid it.
well, just to avoid, because I was so embarrassed. I was always really shameful of that. I went right through. Maths and science kind of saved me because I was always okay at numbers and that. But yeah, that was always the most shameful thing for me. I was like incredibly shameful. And I was always really uncomfortable with that my whole life up until going to NIDA and they say there's that one teacher in your life that changes your life. Well,
Yep.
I was 34 when I met, that man. That teacher was wonderful.
But if you're going back to the young days, right?
Kevin Jackson was his name. He changed my life, mate. And the reason it changed my life is how do you explain this? Everyone takes reading and writing for granted. And for those of us who are watching this and who understand and who have difficulty with it, they'll understand how incredibly how shameful it can become and how diminishing it is internally for yourself.
Yeah.
I always used to feel dumb. That was a hard. I mean, even saying that word, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I always used to feel dumb.
So confidence in general shot through the floor.
Yeah. Then years later, I went right through school not being able to read and write, basically.
Jeez. They
Played-
couldn't work it out, knowing you in those days.
Yeah, but
or-
no one really cared. And and I hit it. Not that I hit it.
You're out of the class,
I
right?
just allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
I only went to year 10. I left in. I did really well in maths and science.
Yep.
I became an electrician, and then it was all okay. But I say about Kevin Jackson. I mean, meeting that man changed my life. This is now after I retired from footy. I would have been my early 30s. And I used to be part of the ensemble at school. People always said, "Oh, did you get into acting after footy?" I said, "Well, I was always part of the ensemble, but I was never in one of the lead roles because I couldn't read and write." Right? Yeah, I just was always in the chorus. Always.
So you always had an affinity.
Oh,
for it.
always loved theatre. I was always a show off as a kid. I was good at sport and theatre. It's just another form of entertainment and
Expression
sport.
as well, right?
Anyway, so I was literally driving by NIDA. I just retired from the Cowboys. I was back here for about 6 months, and my car broke down. And literally about 100 yards up the road from NIDA.
Down Randwick.
And I had to in Kensington. I had to walk by NIDA to get to the service station. And when I was walking by NIDA, I just said, "I'll pop in there and see if there's someone." I wouldn't mind getting back into community theatre. Or maybe see how it's going. Anyway, by that time I had a bit of notoriety and profile because I'd played footy and I'd come out and all that. Anyway, so I walked in the night and at the front desk, I just said, "Oh, look, I was just curious if there's someone I might be able to speak to about one-on-one classes, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, the woman at the desk brought Kevin out, Kevin Jackson, and he was one of the leading acting teachers there. And Kevin's
Did he know you?
Oh, he knew of me.
He knew
Because
of you? Yeah.
Kevin was a gay man himself, so he knew my story.
Okay.
I wasn't a sports person, but he we spoke about this since, but he thought I was just there, like, because he didn't think I was serious about it. Like, he thought it was just some way of gaining more, like, profile, or that I thought it might just be a flimsy thing at this acting thing or whatever. But I used to love acting, right?
Mhm.
Anyway, so he said, like, we'll do a cold read. And it was in a room, and he gave me the book, and he said, "Oh, I just read such and such lines," and I looked.
How'd you go?
Oh no, he knew. He said, "What's wrong?" I just
Yeah.
said, "Look, I'm just going to tell you, I can't read and write." I said, "Mate, I can't read that. Like it's," and he said, he's like, "Honestly, I'm saying this is what changed my life." His reaction was, "Are you dyslexic?" And I said, "Oh, well, I've not been diagnosed, but by then I knew about dyslexia." And I said, "But it's all been." He said, "Oh, look, that's okay." He said, "What we'll do is we'll tape it. You go home and listen to the tape, learn it, and then come back in it just wasn't a problem."
Yeah.
Right?
Brilliant.
I mean that seriously. It was like, for the first time in my life, it was just, he said, "We'll do it this way."
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh,
So don't make it an issue.
yeah, exactly, right." He said, "Don't make it more than what it is."
Yep.
Did that. And then I obviously did all right in the audition because I worked with Kevin for about 6 months, and he suggested at the end of this, he said, "Why don't you do the audition for, like, you seem pretty like," by that stage he knew I was fair dinkum about acting.
Mhm.
He said, "Why don't you do the audition for the 3 years?" And I said, I'm a bit older, like, because most of the people there who start that are in their early 20s,
And you're coming in at 34?
and I'm like, like early 30s, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And I said, "I'm a bit old." And he said, "Mate, if it works both ways. If you're old enough, you're good enough, right?" And, like, I hadn't thought about it in that perspective, being an older person. So yeah, that's kind of. But it was, and then the thing. Kevin passed away a couple of years ago. It was, but for the first 12 months, I used to work with Kevin privately, taping stuff.
Yeah.
Only him and I knew about. It was one of the most magical moments. Like, just um, someone having faith in you. Like, it's hard to explain. It was, and just, yeah, it just kind of gives you a bit of a sense of invincibility. Not invinci. That's probably not the right word, but just feel like, "Oh, fuck, this isn't the issue I thought. This is." I kind of, like, regretted wasting so much energy and time, which is, I'm sure, that was my way of dealing with my sexuality as well. But in another way, it's like I'd always been like that. It just wasn't a problem for me.
Yeah, right.
I just wish I'd had Kevin's insight into the reading stuff.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah,
So it's giving
like,
you a new lease of life?
oh, absolutely, mate. Like, it's yeah, like I said, I know Shakespeare. I can read and write now, and do audition. Like, it's yeah, that was a bit, to me personally. That was the biggest thing that changed my life. If you asked me, what person who's probably had the most impact on me, would be Kevin Jackson my whole life. I mean, I don't say that with any disrespect to
So
my
what's
parents.
actually, for everyone out there then, what's the other lesson? Take the time to listen? What is the big lesson out of all this? You're
Ah,
33, 34.
yeah,
It's taken a while to get there.
yeah. I mean, I'd always been so shameful of it. Like, I'd never wanted to confront it. I'd never wanted.
So this is the big Ian Roberts, as hard as nails,
Yeah,
one of the toughest of all time.
I'm out.
And he goes,
I'm an out gay person, like, all that stuff, and that was. But being gay wasn't was never an issue. Like, I know. I just wish I could have worked that in reverse psychology, with the whole reading and writing thing. But it did make me realize how much time, how much energy I had wasted. And also, like, things had moved on. There was a lot more science about it as well. Like, it was being named now, and kids do have learning disabilities. And I mean, when I can think back to being first class, and I also repeated. That's what class when I was in first class. So I was always a year older than everyone in my year, which was something else I was always really uncomfortable and shameful about.
Yep.
That was because of the reading and writing as well. I was always really uncomfortable. And I say what I said before, I used to feel dumb. And, like, it's hard for people to understand, but it's the most shameful sense of self of lack of belief in
Were you a
self.
shy bloke as a result then, Ian?
Yeah, I was. I wasn't. I used to. And it sounds like another contradiction, but like I used to love playing sport and love being on
Was that
stage.
the escapism?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was, mate. That was the time to play and like just yeah. I didn't have to worry about reading and writing when
Yeah.
it was. It is kind of weird how you look back and think, oh, I wish I could share that feeling of confidence with other people and what it felt like. But sometimes some of us take a long time to get to that spot.
Look, in terms of dyslexia, 'cause I'm not a doctor or anything, is it a bad form? Bad? Like,
Mate,
what sort of
I
what
can
sort of
literally
degree did you actually
I
have?
can literally remember being in kindergarten and first looking at words and like it with. I'm going to use this description because people don't. It's almost like looking at chicken scratches.
Is that right?
And I used to, and because there's so many rules in the English language, I before E and except after, and all those things, and
Yep.
and we don't even write words the way they sound. We don't
No,
even
not
use
phonetic.
exactly. It's not phonetic, right? And phonetics is what changed me.
And they've got the
It's-
adjectives and the verbs and
oh
the
my
nouns and
god, mate.
pronouns and everything else thrown in.
And I was forever asking, like I always used to like confuse me and just like numbers were always really simple because numbers there was no escaping numbers. It was what it was. But I do remember like really early on, and that got better, looking at words and not even being able to make what letters were or words were. And my dad would sometimes read to me, and I'd be looking at the pages, and I just think, like, as a 5 and 6-year-old, you're just like, I don't know
What's going on here?
Yeah. It's difficult to describe unless you've had it.
So what do? You either come out with it or you bury it, don't you? And you're
Yeah.
burying it.
Well, yeah, because it was so shameful, and people used to make such a fuss about it. Like, oh, you're not very good at reading and writing. Like, that used to be so shameful. I just used to be like, I couldn't spell. It's like, it was. And I remember, John Parker was a mate of mine who always used to let me cheat off his. He was like John. If
So you sat beside him in the exams.
Oh, mate, even in first and second class, he saved my life, mate. Yeah, anyway, but I mean, of all the things I've had to face, the toughest for me has been that reading and writing thing. I look back and just how much energy, and now I also think it's been really good for my own sense of empathy for other people. Just don't like we're too quick to judge and just like,
Another thing too, Ian, how big is confidence in life?
oh,
You look at the young kids coming through school and everything else these days and the pressures they get by social media, which you know better than probably all of us. You haven't got confidence, you're going to struggle.
it's crazy, mate. Like it's
Do they teach confidence? I don't know.
like confidence is such a powerful. I mean, when I was having a conversation before the interview, I just say I kind of learnt how to play football when I was at South and Wigan, but I played football when I went to Manly, and that's because. And for any player listening to this, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes there are rare moments when you have a period of time when you're playing with absolute confidence. It's almost like you hear that expression, things slow down.
Yep.
It's so true.
Got all the time in the world.
It's absolutely true. Like things slow down, you feel like I am in total control of this, and they're not going to. I got to a point like that when I was at Manly. I just I felt so that it sounds a bit arrogant, but I felt like I couldn't be stopped at times.
Yep.
And it's like really supreme confidence. But then there's the flip side of that when you have a couple of bad games. And this was early on in my career. Like it was like shattering. You just say, I'm never going to be able to play footy again. But it's a maturity thing, right? Like things come with repetition. But I do remember like in '88 at South, I had a terrible year. But that's because I started off having a couple of bad games. And in '87, I'd won prop of the year as a young bloke, which was a bit of a pat on the back for a young bloke.
Yep.
I had a great year in '87 at South. But in '88, I had 2 bad games at the first start of the year, and I just
Well, then just got you up
just
here.
got them in the head, and that's
Mate, so it's
something
amazing,
else
isn't
you
it?
learn, but right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, and like years like
And then, even then, did you overblow it? Was it that bad again? A couple of games?
no,
It wasn't to your peak,
no,
maybe. Or
no.
you just
But
didn't quite get your timing right on the day.
and you have expectations of yourself.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like, but yeah, like it, like everything. We'd all be billionaires in hindsight, but Yeah, it is funny the way the way you learn from your like not I won't call them mistakes, but you learn from experience.
So look, I was reading a little bit about your family. The old man was a pretty good boxer at one
Yeah, my
stage.
dad was a semi-professional boxer. I mean, I often say, mate, the best thing my dad did for me was teach me how to box when I was a kid. Like,
I heard you were pretty highly rated on that too. Wasn't
I
Johnny
used to
Lewis
go.
had a few good comments about you?
Uh, that's very flattering. Johnny's a good friend.
Well, he said you're one of the best he's ever seen, didn't he say?
Yeah, yeah, that's not it's nice. But I mean, and it's kind of weird. I was with Johnny just recently, and I've said to Johnny before, I sometimes feel like um, if I hadn't have kicked on with South, I probably would have been a boxer. Like
Yeah, well, you would have
it
given it a go.
it was really like at that moment in time, I was like, which way am I going to go here? Then I got graded and played first grade at South in '86. If that hadn't happened, I probably would have been gone to boxing. Yeah, yeah.
So you police boys every week training.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We used to do all that stuff, and yeah, it was always okay. That's what I said. I mean,
You're better than okay if Lewis says
yeah. Well,
comments like that,
yeah.
right? You gotta
Well,
be
I
up there,
mean,
so
yeah. But I mean, I could always look after myself, though,
yep,
which also helped in rugby league as well.
yep.
Like, particularly in that era, like
We'll come to in a
the
sec.
ferocity of that. I mean, '86 is what I mean.
Well, just going back before '86, was the family was it inbred in the house? Sport?
No.
So
Again, it was just like a daycare centre for my mum and dad, like just because my brother and I go off to footy and my sisters would go off to netball. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
just
Pretty normal family in that gate. Yeah.
yeah, it was also a thing that we used to come in when the lights used to go on in the street. It was a very
Oh,
different
5:30, 6 o'clock for dinner. Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
that
yeah,
was,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it was very much that way. Yeah, it was
But you were pretty talented.
I was always pretty good at rugby league and boxing and that and running. I suppose I was gifted a little bit more than the average young bloke, sporting wise. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But when is a young bloke suddenly realise I've got some skills and then apply them? Because let's be real. One of the things we'll discuss today about why we put you down as a leader and how you changed the game. Your work rate was phenomenal, but your work rate is because you developed it and you developed that in the gym, your training. I mean, I've looked at your training, and so has anybody else who want to do anything, in some sort of form of intensity.
Yeah.
You took it to a whole new level, to a new era, Ian. So when did that start playing? When did that start coming to your mind? As is it a 13-year-old, 14-year-old? Is mascot saying, and then South's knocking on the door? Or when does it all start taking play?
When I was about 17, I was gonna like give footy away because of the sexuality thing. And it was more for my mum and dad really because I just didn't think that they would understand. And
All right, hold it. So come on, what do you mean the sexual? I know what you say. We'll talk about it in a second. What rumors going on? Silly shit going on? What's
oh no, I
going
mean
on?
I knew I was gay, right?
Yep.
Like and like I said, I've never had a problem with being gay. I've had like like partners, boyfriends, since I was like 12, 13, 14. Like and I've never felt uncomfortable. I've never felt dirt. I've never felt like what people were supposed to, what I was made to believe it should be.
Yep.
My mum and dad they were very homophobic and yeah. So but at 17, there's Andrew Hill, the boy I was seeing, and um, but again, I knew to keep it, and wasn't like I was ever ashamed of it. But I didn't come out to my parents because they were they were like
The traditional.
very homophobic. It was like, and I just didn't think they were ready for it. I'd always intended to come out. In fact, I think back now and the way my parents dealt with it and their whole process over the years. I wish I had come out when I was like 17 and told them and kept playing because it would have been um,
A lot easier.
it would have been easier for me as well. But I also as I gotten older, I realised how important visibility is for the younger generation of like like queer people and just having a presence and yeah. I don't know. There's a show on at the moment. What's it called? Something rivalry or it's a gay hockey show, like ice hockey show. Heated rivalry. It's doing huge business internationally. It's about these two hockey guys. Um, who are gay and they fall in love. But it's a 6-episode, I think it's a six episode. And I'm up to episode 4 they're up to, I think. And like it's doing huge business internationally at the moment.
Yep.
But I'm so disappointed. I get so disappointed in it because to me it's like another victim story, just like of how hard it is to be gay, and how I can only imagine what it's like to be trans and stuff like that. That must be that's a whole another level of oppression and conflict and people persecuting you. But with this show, it's just like it's doing huge business in the States. In fact, the 2 boys who are playing the lead are opening the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And while it's a good show, I get it. I feel I get uncomfortable with gay people always being not always. And I don't want to diminish this or offend anyone, but it sounds weird for me to say. I love being gay. I have a wonderful relationship. I wouldn't change that for anything. Being gay has been my superpower. I really believe it's been my superpower over the years. But this show, it plays them out to be a bit victimish, and how difficult it is and how hard it has to be. And I know it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
I know it's. I totally. You don't need to tell me that.
Yep.
But I'm like, but there's also a lot of joy and a lot of happiness, and I just in this show, I just don't see any of that. I'm just like, and I get bored of the way it's represented.
It's a funny old world we live in.
yeah,
And if you
yeah.
think about it in many regards, right? Anyone picks up
We were talking about visibility.
but if anybody picks up a history book, you're going to look at the Spartans,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They're all gay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Or even on their wedding night,
Yeah.
they had their partner sleep with them with their wives,
Yeah.
right? Et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's been around since day dot. I mean, it's nothing new. Just the Western society has changed so much over the last number of years, right? A couple hundred years. And I see that challenge as a result you must have come through. So at 17,
Yeah,
you're thinking about what? I'm playing pretty good. And
Well, I
I'm
told
playing,
my dad. I just said, Dad, I'm not going to play anymore. I didn't tell him I was gay, right?
Yep.
My dad's always been wonderful, mate. He's always supported me. He's taken me to the games. He's always been like one of the team managers or assistants. He's helped me.
So you're at the mascot juniors now, are you?
Yeah, at this stage at Masson Juniors, and I had a couple of good, really, really outstanding seasons in the junior levels. And my dad's like, "Oh, you're crazy! You're gonna, this is what you played for. You're gonna get graded." And I'm like, and I was trying to convince him, "Oh, no, Dad, the other stuff I want to do." And, no, even while that was true, that wasn't the real reasoning. It was just because I didn't think my parents could handle, because I was never going to be straight. I was never going to pretend to be straight later on. I knew that even at that age.
Yeah, okay.
And I knew that at some point I was going to have to disappoint them or whatever that was. But anyway, my dad's like, just play one more year for me, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And if I don't crack it this year, Dad,
That's it.
that's it. Well, I cracked it, right? And I'm like, my dad, I've got to give him credit. My dad has always supported me, and I ended up playing in the last 7 weeks of the following year, 7 reserve grade games, and then that was 85, and then 86 I was George Piggins came in as first grade coach.
Yep.
And George was a mascot junior as well. Yep. And George had known me from mascot, and I got trained into a
pretty formidable forward pack, Ian.
Oh yeah, Les Davison, Mario Fennick, Dave Boyle,
Yep.
Wayne Chisholm,
Yep.
Michael Andrews,
Lindsay Johnson. The toughest pack in the
Lindsay Johnson. People, mate, it was. I played in the team, and I was scared of them. I made that serious.
Wasn't Boyle floating around too then?
Dave Boyle,
Yeah.
Dave Boyle, yeah. They used to call him Hooky, because his nose points in every direction.
Yep.
I love you, Dave.
Yep.
He'll be watching this. But yeah, it was, mate, it was so. I was a young bloke, and I was quite.
Actually, and so was Phil Goulden floating around in 86.
That was his last year, mate.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. That was his. He was actually the coach. George Piggins learnt to coach through Gus.
Yeah.
But Gus literally coached us.
Yeah, right.
He was only young too. He's only about 28 or 29. He wasn't that old.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
So were you starting off in second row with Phil?
I was in front row. I was front
up,
row.
were you?
Yeah, my first game was against Craig Young. Crazy, right? I saw Craig Young just recently at the Kangaroos. And I told him a story, and I hadn't seen him since.
Yeah, but that's the change in the game.
very
Young
much
to an Ian Roberts. Look at the change in shape,
Very-
power and strength and
that
mobility.
style of game,
Yeah, totally.
and the work rate.
Yeah.
But, mate, he was like a god, mate. Like, and he was built like an oak tree. Like, his
neck
shape
was
was
about
like
that
that, but there was no shape. It was like that to his feet, right? And we used to have, oh my God, I'll never forget it. It was a charity shield. My very first game of playing first grade,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And we're packing down in the sec. We used to have this move. This is dead set. Like, I'm almost embarrassed to say this. We used to have this move called Henry.
Right.
We know Henry was like Craig Coleman Tugger. He's Tugger. Tugger would walk through the. We'd be packing him getting ready for a scrum, and Tugger would walk through the scrum. Henry's on.
The biff.
It was an all in, and I'll never forget it. Right, I was just like, and this is a real thing, and you can imagine this is me coming up through the younger grades, and like you get in the first grade, and this is a move. You know, I'm just like an all in, didn't make any sense to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But opposite me is Craig Young, right? I'll never forget, and then Craig Coleman starts. It's the second scrum of the game. He walks, Henry's on, and I sunk, I just melted. Like, oh, there's no way I'm hitting Craig Young in the face, right? Within moments, like Bundy and Les Davison and Mario are going at it, and it was just the most pathetic moment of my life. I kind of grabbed him, and I was just doing it for show. Just like, if I don't do this, so they're going to cane me at training. Yep. And I kind of hit him, and he kind of looked at me, and when I saw him at the Kangaroos thing the other day, you remember that, right? Yeah. He said, I just felt sorry. He said, I just felt sorry for you. It was so pathetic, you know. He's just like, because I was like, oh. And then he grabbed me, and then he put his fist through the back of my head, right? But I was so grateful because he kind of knocked me out. Yeah. And I thought, that was kind of my introduction to rugby league. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't what I was used to, mate. It wasn't what I expected.
What did you think too, Ian? You're in there. You're amongst some of the better players, the hardest players in the game at that time. I can hold my own.
No, not when I was. At first, I didn't think I belonged there, mate. I felt like so out of my depth, and that's what I meant. Like,
how old were you at the time?
I would have been 20.
Yeah, okay.
Right? I just felt so out of my depth. I just didn't belong. I didn't.
Yeah, but hold it. By the end of '86, people were rabbiting on at one stage in the press, Roberts may make the Kangaroo tour.
Oh, well, like I said, we played again. That's when I went over and played.
Yeah, when you were playing for Wigan, right?
I had one of the
you could have been on the other side.
But I had one of the best. Like, I'm so glad it didn't work out that way, mate. Because I had a better time at Wigan, and I had probably one of the best games of my life playing against Australia. Like, it literally, it was. Even though we lost, I think we lost 26-18. We should have beat them. Like, we had such a good. Like, I personally had a really good game. I kind of learnt. That's what I meant about the confidence thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as 86 went on, even though I had a good year, I had a really high work rate. Yep. Which was not unusual for that time. But that was just kind of where I'd come from. Frank Cookson was my junior coach at Mascot, and Frank was always about work rate. Like, that's kind of where I picked that up from.
Yeah, but yours was a different level.
Yeah, but that's kind of where it came from, and we were doing the old dinosaur training as well, mate. We go for road runs, you know. Oh my God! When we first started at South, we used to do this run from Coogee.
Didn't Piggins used to run sometimes as well?
Sometimes.
Barefoot sometimes as well?
Very good. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. We used to do this run from Coogee up to Randwick, the long Anzac Parade out to La Perouse, and then back. But that was like 3 times a week. And that was training. That was.
She's actually stripping it off you rather than helping you get stronger.
Well, I don't know, whatever it was doing, it's the way training is now. That's why the game's so much more exciting now. Like, there's so much more power, and we weren't even doing weights back then, mate. Like, like I was on my own. Yep. Because I'd been training for a couple of years, man. And it took me a while to get my head around weights. It wasn't until like 89 that I realised the value of weights and just the impact of the explosiveness that comes with weight training. But yeah, like I'd started training on weights when I was about 19, because I've always been quite tall. Well, I was quite tall, but I was very lanky and.
You filled out pretty solid.
Yeah. Particularly later in life.
Hey, when did you sit back and think, okay, I've made the team. I'm in '86, all right, like you said.
But I didn't. I was always expecting to get dropped. I always thought I was going to get dropped. Like, I never felt like even though I was playing.
You're getting close to man of the matches or some of those.
Yeah. but that's what I mean. This is, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm being arrogant. I mean this quite seriously, mate. Like, tackling people and hit-ups didn't seem like a lot, even though it is a lot.
Yeah, but when you're doing plus 50 every game too, don't forget.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, but that wasn't anything that was unusual to me.
Yeah, okay.
You know what it's
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
to explain. That's just where I'd come from. It's just like I said about Frank Cookson and that, and the high work rates. Just like I learned to play when I went to Wigan. Is when I really learned to offload and like use my height and Graham Lowe used to say, just go out there and play, mate. Just mess around. Like he used to tell me, just go and have fun. And it's kind of, I learned to enjoy footy. Like came back and I had a great year in '87. Like I said, I won proper year that year, but that was all from the experience in Wigan.
Yep.
Um,
And you're setting yourself any big goals in the next couple of years, or you're just in there for
I'm still working.
enjoying it?
Don't forget, like
And
this
you're
is
still a Sparky?
that's what I'm saying. Don't forget, this is a time when we used to train at 5 o'clock so everyone could get home from work.
Yep.
And that was like that wasn't just South, that was every club.
Yep.
It's like it was a very different. We had a conversation before the interview, mate. I was saying my first year at South, I cleared about $9,000,
Okay.
and I thought I was flash, mate. Like I thought that was. And I went to Wigan, they gave me $15,000, right? I was just like, mate, I'm rolling it. Plus with whatever I earned as a Sparky, but that was big money. But like to me, that was like it's unheard of. Like I came from a pretty economically low net. It was like I thought I was flash. Like it,
Well, if you look at that pack, so from between 86 to 89,
yeah.
formidable pack. You're up in the semis or pretty regularly.
I think we missed out in '88.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you did. You're right there. 89, you minor premiers.
Minor premiers, yeah.
Yep.
I had a lot of injuries that year.
You did.
My groin.
Your groin went.
Yeah.
Whole of New South Wales was watching that. I mean, he can play. I remember watching. I was with Barman watching it. Thinking, "Come on, mate, keep going." But you on needles left, right, and centre. What I was going to ask you, you got 86 to 89, formidable pack. Backline wasn't necessarily as good as some of the others playing, maybe up against them competition wise. But what's the story about winning? Because you got there, you lose it as minor premiers.
Yeah.
And the Raiders knock you off, and Raiders go on to win the comp. But there's an art in winning.
Confidence, mate.
So what do you reckon? What's the story? If you sit back and think about that, we've got great forward pack. We're smashing them to the ground. We've set ourselves up. What's it take to win?
Well, I think it's a thing about confidence. Like,
Did you think you're going to win? You think we're just going to
we
turn
always
up?
thought we were in it with a chance, but
Yeah.
things had to go our way. That's how it always felt. If things like, but I said, I learned how to play footy at South. But I learned how, like, it's funny. I learned how to win games at Manly. Like it was,
So what's the difference then?
it's it can be confidence, just like and believing in the bloke next to you as well. Like having trust in the bloke next to you, like absolute trust in the bloke next to you. Like, that's all I can say. It's just like not doubting the bloke next to you. Like when I was at Wigan, there was 5 different competitions over there. They had 5 different various competitions, and we won 4 of them. The only one we didn't get up in was the Challenge Cup at Wembley. We won the other 4.
Yep.
And like it was kind of weird. I think we lost two or three games at Wigan.
Okay. But you
And
weren't playing with slouches there either. No, that
No.
was Ellery Handley.
Oh,
who was
like
in your team.
Graham Lowe was the
So-
coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where was your confidence levels then?
Because everyone next to me, I knew I could look at and I could depend on it. At Wigan, it was just like I was playing this team was just everyone was like not a superstar, but they were all good at what they did.
Okay.
There was no doubt. There's no I'm going to have to cover for. I'm not going to sit here and criticise players, but there's we had some players at South that probably weren't the best defenders. Stuff like having to tidy up after them and just like. But I mean, not even that. There was we had players at South also, like Blakey and that, who could turn a game on their head.
That was 89 too, wasn't it?
I think Blakey joined us in about 88.
Did he?
Yeah. But yeah. Blakey. It's. I just think it's all confidence, mate. Like there was games even when we lost. I'm like, I don't know how we lost them.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You just like,
And you can see it just slipping 3 fingers while you're on the field.
I don't know how we like. It's hard to like. We were so on top, and then and then the bell rang. We were a point behind or whatever. It's just like, how do we like? And we played fantastically. But that's again, mate. It's just experience. It's just yeah. But you don't forget the other teams experiencing exactly the same situation. Like they're all having the same moments.
Was your preparation much different, Ian, the rest of your players? Like you said, you're a lot fitter, you're a lot stronger in the sense you're doing your weights, etc. So you're leading that by a mile.
Um, as I matured and your body matures naturally anyway, you told me about 25, 26. Yeah, I realised the like I said, about being much more physical and the brutality of the sport and like how much that can impact a game in itself.
Yep.
A couple of big hits can really turn a game. It doesn't like it can really lift a team and also like it's. Yeah, it's empowering also to know that you can see people are looking for you. That they're watching out for you. Stuff like that it's uplifting as well. That helps you.
Who are you looking out for, Ian, out of interest? Is the hard man?
Les Davison was always mate. Bundy, when we played in '86, I was playing for Wigan. Bundy hit me. He nearly cut me in half. Like it was like. I was like, this bit was gone. I was just, he should have this incredible, like an amazing, I actually styled but the way I used to ended up, because I had a bit of a reputation as a big hitter, like, but that all came from Les Davison, the way he used to tackle. Like, I learnt that all from Bundy. Is
that right?
That's what I mean. I mean, I learnt about rugby league when I was at South.
Okay.
David Boyle, like, unbelievably fit, like super fit. You talk about doing 50 tackles a game. I got that from Hook, like, and doing 30 hit-ups and, yeah, it's like, and then trusting myself because when I was a junior, I was always quite good at ball playing, that type of thing, like getting passes away in second phase. The second phase isn't what it used to be. There used to be a lot more second phases than there is now. And I still think second phase is the best way to break up any team, like any good defensive team. Second phase, yeah.
So what was going on then in the personal life now during this period of time? Because Georgie Pickens would be pretty a classic sort of conservative sort of fellow, wouldn't he?
I love George, mate. Like, yes, and like George was always about helping. He was always about South, right?
Yeah, well, he funded it, didn't he?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like I remember at one training session, he took me aside and just said, and this is what this kind of explains. I have nothing but respect for George Pickens, right? So if this comes across as anything but respect, I only have respect for George, right? But he pulled me aside at the train one day and he said, "Oh, Ian, mate, there's been a whole load of stories about you being seen on Oxford Street and this, that, and the other, and it's probably not a good look, mate. And like you don't want to ruin your career." And it was words to that effect.
In a caring way, trying to do it that way, right?
Yeah, right. Like by this stage, I'd already come out to my family. Like this is now 87, right?
Yep.
And I just said to him, like, I just said to George, "Am I playing good footy?" Look, literally, I said, "George, am I playing good footy?" He said, "Yeah, you're playing great footy." This is 87, right?
Yep.
I said, "Well, that's all that counts, mate." Like I just said, yeah,
like,
yeah, and I don't mean to diminish George here, but I wasn't trying to put him back in his place, but I was like, who? Like, figure my language. I was just like, who cares? Like, I know, but I knew people did care, right? Like,
but do they? At the end of the day, do they? Does a real footy pundit out there really care which way you bat at the end of the day?
I would like to think not, but it's you would think with
like I know it's going to sell stories and papers and stuff like that, but do I really fundamentally care?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. What do you think? I haven't been in your shoes. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, some people do, like for some people like the other thing is which I think is quite funny is by that stage there was a lot of verbal on
you'd be comical, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I used to find it quite funny. I know it sounds weird. Like sometimes it'd fire me up, but sometimes I used to find it quite funny because some of it was quite funny. Like it was literally quite funny. Unlike you're just dirty. Fancy you. It's just like, but it's like in one state of origin, like we just won at the showground, and I was getting into the shower, and one of the players made it obviously aware that he was uncomfortable. I was getting into the showers, right? And I'm just like, I looked at her and said, trust me, you're safe. You got nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? But he ended up laughing and saw the funny side of it. Right? Like, he's just like, oh, like, so it's all like, but I kind of often found it best to attack it with a lot of humour. And I think after I came out to my family, that was like...
How was that, Ian?
I mean, everyone who comes out, it's always a difficult, hard process, whatever. And my coming out wasn't the way I would have chose it, but no, you can't really choose it. Sometimes it just happens. My mum used to work at Qantas.
Oh, yeah.
And this is 87, like I was having that really good year, like I said. And this is back in the time that there's none of these things. Yep. Just if you were following a story, you're reading about it in the paper, listening to it on the radio, or watching it on the TV, on the news. But there was a lot of story about, a lot of rumours about. Me being gay was like the worst kept secret.
I was going to say, it was the worst kept secret, wasn't it?
Like everyone knew, everyone kind of knew, but it was always like people would tiptoe around it. Anyway, but my mum and dad didn't know. And I'd wanted to tell them for a lot. Like that, it was kind of like, it kind of helped me, like, because I'd wanted to speak about it. Anyway, my mum's working at Qantas, and she's a cleaner. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticising that. But my mum's at lunch. She's got a lunchbox of sandwiches, whatever. And sat just like you and I are sat now, just opposite her on the other side. It was two young blokes, reading the paper. Mm-hmm. There was an article on me in the paper.
Yeah.
And this is the story my mum told me. And it's kind of funny, but I can imagine it must have been like horrifying for my mum. And I'll use the language they used, all right? So you get the impact.
All right.
And there's an article on me, and it was just after we played East and I'd had a blinder at Henson Park.
Yep.
And anyway, they're reading this article. And one of the blokes says to the other bloke, not realising that the mother of that person they're talking about is sat just here.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's Ian Roberts. He got caught sucking a guy off in Oxford Street, right? Yeah. No. Just let me be clear, that didn't happen. I just want to be clear, that didn't happen, right? It was just two guys bantering, right? But you can imagine the impact that had on my mum. My mum, like, she just had a meltdown. She had to go home, and I wasn't living at home at that stage. And later on that day, I got a phone call off my dad, and he just said, "Oh boy, your mum's heard something at work. You need to come home and see us." And I'm thinking. So we get to my mum and dad are still living at Botany. I was living at Coogee at this time. I was yes, I was at South. So I get to my mum and dad's place, and I walk in the door, and it was like you would have thought someone had died, right? I'm like, my sister's in the lounge, and she's sitting there all solemn and like to herself. I'm like,
what's going on?
Like, what's going on? I said, Kai, is everything okay? Kylie, my sister. She's like, Mum and Dad just can't speak to him, I'm like, oh. So I walked in, and my dad said, "Oh, Dad should call me boy." He says, "Oh, sit down, boy." And he says, "Oh, your mum's heard something at work." And my dad says, "Now, we don't believe it. We just need to hear you tell us that you're not gay, and that'll do us." Because I used to go to the footy, right? And I used to hear all that stuff that people used to shout. That's what used to hurt me, mate. Because there's certain things you can't protect the people you love from.
Yep.
And that's just what it is. Like, and that used to upset me, like stuff like that. No,
from the sideline.
Yeah, from the
gutless and stuff like that.
Whatever. But I get all that. It's an Aussie thing and whatever. But I was always well aware that anyway. And my dad said, we hear these things, and your mum, and he told me what had happened, what the bloke said. And I said, "Oh, surely you don't believe that." He said, "No, we don't believe we don't believe." I said, "It's just two boys bantering, Dad." And he's like, "Yeah, boy, but we just need to hear you say it." He kept saying it, like, "We just need to hear you tell us that you're not gay," right? And I'm like, that was I'm just like, and like anyone who's queer or gay or trans, and at this moment, already know the feeling of what the experience is. You're like, "I'm so sorry, but I know I'm disappointing you now." I said, "Yeah, I'm gay, Dad. Like, I've always wanted to tell you, and blah blah blah." My dad's reaction was like, "You play front row." Like, that was in his head. Like, it's just like and that didn't calculate with me at all. I'm just like, I didn't even know how he went there. I was just like, what? He says, "No, you can't be. Like, it doesn't make sense." I mean, it ended up they ended up getting really worked up. But like, this is just a very familiar, typical, like, queer coming out story. I didn't see my parents for about 2 or 3 years after. Nearly 3 years or something like that.
Is
I
that
was
right?
at Manly. They just didn't. It wasn't that we were fighting. They wouldn't allow me to bring my then partner home, and I just said, and there was no problem with my two sisters and my brother bringing their partners. I said, well, until I'm allowed to, like, I'm not coming. Like, but they, like, the wonderful part of this, I said, how racist to my family and that were, and you just heard that story and how they reacted. Didn't speak to me for a couple of years. I was as much to blame for that as they were, mate, because I had been honest and open with them. Like, I still accept that part of that was my responsibility as well. But I will say, my parents, it's such a, and I need to share this story just to let you know, just their journey was like wonderful. My dad's been passed away 10 years ago this year. Just before my dad passed away, we did an interview for a documentary, and the interviewer said to my dad, "Oh, you must be very proud of your son and what he's done," And now, remembering my dad has 3 other kids, my dad's answer was poetic, mate. My dad's not educated, but my dad said, "Oh, like, I'm equally as proud of all my children, but I am so fortunate that I was gifted a gay son because I got to see the world as it really is." I was like, my jaw dropped, and I was just like, "Who wrote that for you, Dad?" I'm like, he said, "Oh, that's just," and my dad's really matter of fact. He said, "Oh, that's just how I feel." He said, "I realise how lucky I am." It's wonderful, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't get a better response than
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And yeah, so, and that's why I said, like, I do think,
That would have knocked you for a six, wouldn't it?
oh, it was great, mate. It was like, I felt like being gay was a gift to them. Like, it's hard to explain that to people. People don't get that at all when I say that. I said, being gay it can be a gift if people embrace it, because it makes people see past their ignorances and their judgment and the misconception of what it is to be different. Yeah.
Even for a front row, are you?
Yeah, even for a front row, yeah. But you play front row. That was, mate, that was wonderful. Like, yeah, I should get that on a T-shirt.
Hey, now the big thing. What? I know they were very upset about that, as you say. How upset were they when you decided? Oh, well, they weren't maybe necessarily having a chat to you, but you go across to Manly
Yeah, no, that was
in
always
1990.
that was always a financial thing as well, mate. That was, yeah, Manly, um,
Just
their
what
offer,
just wooed you, did they?
yeah, their offer was a lot more than anyone else's. Like, it was almost double. Yeah, so it was, and Graham Lowe was coaching. That was going to coach there. I'd had a good relationship with Lowe when he was at Wigan.
Yep.
Um, yeah, Manly were great, mate. It was wonderful, and I became, I became a much better football player for joining Manly than I think I would have if I'd stayed at South.
Thanks for watching the No Limitations podcast, brought to you by Blenheim Partners, board and executive search firm. As a trusted advisor, we work with Australian listed groups, multinational corporations, large private companies, and social impact organisations on their most critical people choices to drive change, prepare for growth, and outperform their peers. To learn more about Blenheim Partners and executive search, visit our website, blenheimpartners.com. And now, back to the show. If you look at your period, you were there for what, 90 to 94 with Manly?
90 to 95,
95, were you?
and I sat 96 out because of the Super League.
That's right. If you look at that period, you're also playing for Australia, playing state of origin.
Yeah.
If you stand back, again, this is leadership discussion. Who impressed you as coaches? Because you saw, now you got Bob Fulton, you got
Yeah, George,
Graham Lowe,
I come from George.
you got
because,
George.
Graham Lowe. We had Frank Stanton for a while, Bob
That's right.
Fulton.
Yep.
Then I had Tim Sheens at the Cowboys.
Yeah, your old partner from South in the back row, who's now coaching state of origin as well.
Yeah. Jack Gibson was state of origin as well. I think the person I work best with, they're all great. They all bring their own flavour. Yeah, mate. Like, it's and their craft to the game. I think the person I probably worked best with was Bozo, was Bob Fulton. I think because Bose used to get out, he used to say, like Bose is, get out there and do what you're good at. Just trust yourself. Like I kind of the first year at Manly, first 2 years at Manly for me were good. It was not until 93 when Bose came that I think I kind of played my best footy, 93, 94, 95. Only because he was saying, mate, just trust yourself, mate. Just go, and that was his style of play too, like when he was a player.
It was a natural too, right?
Just trust yourself. Yep.
Yeah. That's a confidence thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I went to the Cowboys, that was great as well. Tim had a very different philosophy. He was very practical with certain positions, the way which didn't really suit my style of play.
Yeah, because you're a runner too, right?
And a bit more freelance.
Yeah.
But Tim had
a bit more structure.
Yeah, a bit more. Yeah, probably. Yeah, more structured. That's a good way of putting it. But yeah, still, it was great. Like I probably played my best footy with Bose. He was a champion. But I had the most wonderful. Like you talk, Bose was.
So is he a shouter? Or is he someone who sits beside you and has a chat?
You've
got all the egos of the Manly team after the game, before the game, the big games. Like, how do they keep you up?
All of the above.
And also coaching Australia too.
Yeah. I mean, and Bose was, mate. People don't realise he was like he didn't have a real good public persona. Like people used to think he was real hard and real could be not. And I've definitely seen that side of what people interpret that side as. But when you get to know him as just as a bloke and as a coach player, Bose I came out publicly because of Bose, really. Like he allowed me to do it, mate.
What made you? Okay, so
because of who he was.
Okay, so how many years later after you told Mum and Dad?
This is now 94. I came out in 94 on the Kangaroo tour at 94.
Okay, all right.
And that was
and why? Why?
See, what in 87? I mean, I'd wanted to come out then publicly, but my dad was like. I really didn't because my dad, like my mum and dad, and my dad was so adamant it was going to destroy you. It was bad for the family. I was quite white, I was.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was, and I feel like I'm doing it. I feel a bit I'm disappointed in my reaction. I should have stuck to my guns and stuck to my. I feel like I should have stuck to my instinct and came out then in 87.
Oh, yeah,
I know, but I'm only young too. I'm only 22.
22. Yeah.
And I was, the thing is, I was worried about my mum and dad, like my family, because like I said, there's certain things you can't protect some people you love from, right? Like it's just, I'm like that. And I knew how devastating it was for my dad when I came out. We didn't see each other for 3 years, but I was in contact with my sisters and my brother and how bad my dad was taking it. And I was just like, killing me if he has to deal with that. Because he saw it as a real weakness and he was worried about his own situation, like how it would affect the family and friends at work and shit like stuff like that, which didn't bother me at all. But I was worried about my mum and dad. Then in 94, when I was on the Kangaroo tour, I went away with that Kangaroo tour. I was playing for Manly. I was having a great year. Everyone knew I was gay, which no one spoke. But half the team knew. Like Terry Hill, who was my roommate, Terry knew I was gay. And there wasn't we spoke openly about it. A whole load of players. I never spoke openly about it with Bose.
Oh, you didn't?
No, not before the tour. But Bose knew I was gay. Like my partner then, Shane, he was a bloody mascot. The guy running around in the big seagull suit with the flappy wings and all that. That was Shane. And everyone knew he was my partner. It was great, mate. It was wonderful. Shane passed away 2 years ago. He had a heart attack. But I speak about that. I'll never forget when we were playing Brookie one game. We were playing against St George. We ended up beating them 61-0. But I scored the first try in this runaway try. And I just don't do runaway tries. I couldn't believe it myself. I scored this try. I was in disbelief. And I got up, and all of a sudden there's all these feathers and this beak thing. And Shane's giving me a hug. And he just he's pushing everyone away. So he was really excited. Yeah. It was just one of those moments, just this is perfect. If people knew the real story, this is fucking perfect. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah.
Bose hasn't picked up on it or not?
No. Look, I used to take Shane to all the functions, but it was just no one spoke about it. And I used to feel like
Was it the South all the player, half the players would have known too, didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, like I said, so he's the
Most of
worst.
the South
So
players
it's the
were
worst kept secret everybody knows, right?
most of the South players are okay with it too.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. So
Anyway.
Bozo's doesn't want to be told, or
well, no, I just hadn't really spoken to him about it. Like, we just, and Bose was a bit uncomfortable with it, but the story I'm about to tell, it just, then I realised how much of a dickhead I was and how stupid I was thinking. I should have just thought that these people are better than I could would have thought of. Like,
oh, you're anticipating their reactions.
yeah.
Right.
And what had happened was, it was after the first test. I love this story. It was after the first test. We got beat at Wembley, right? I was having a blinder, like a tour before that, but we got beat 13-9 or 13-8. And but I had an okay game. I didn't expect to get dropped. And anyway, they beat us with 12 men at Wembley. It was 100,000. Like, they played out of their skins. Anyway, but
is that when the captain got sent off in the first 30?
Sean Edwards got sent
Yeah.
off.
That's after getting Brad.
Yeah.
The coating.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, it was Sean Edwards. Yeah. Anyway, because I played with him at Wigan. Anyway, I didn't expect to get dropped. Then on the Tuesday after the game, get a phone call in the room, and Terry Hill picks up the phone, and he's like, "Oh, just get him for it." And like, he passes me the phone. And he says, "Oh, Bose, he's cutting you." Because you don't get a phone call off Bose unless you're getting cut, right? Like, you just don't get those. I'm like, hey, Bose. He says, "Oh, Robbo, I need you to come up and see me straight away, mate." And of course, Bose is staying in the penthouse, right? So I get up, and I go up in the lift, and I walk to the door, and the door's just ajar. I have a look in. Now, anyone who knows Bose, he's as cool as a cucumber, right? Like, nothing ever gets under his skin. Like, he's totally peaceful. And he's pacing the room.
Oh.
I'm like, and I stood there. I felt like I stood there for ages. But anyway, so he says, "Robbo, yeah, come in, mate. Sit on the bed." Then he starts pacing the room again. But now I'm thinking, oh, something's happened at home. Like, something's happened to my parents, or I'm thinking, fuck, here we are, like, Bose. And then I said, "Bose, can you stop, mate, please? What's happened?" And by this, pardon me, by this stage, Shane, my partner, had come over from Australia, and he was staying in a B&B up the road, right? Plenty of the players' wives and that were, but one of the rules about when you're on tour is players' partners and wives and that can't stay with you in the hotel, right? Like, you got to stick to the group, which is fine. Anyway, and Bose is like, he's looked at me, and he's doing the thing with his beard, and I'm just like, "Bose, just tell me, mate." Like, I'm panicking now, thinking, oh. He says, "Mate, there's a story, mate." He says, "Oh, I don't know how to say this." He says, "Shane, mate." I'm like, he says, I know, eh? And just the way he says, he says, "This is Bobby Fulton." He says, I know, eh? And I thought, oh, it's a fucking funny time to talk about it. But I said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Mate, he can't stay with you in the hotel. You know the rules, Robbo." I'm like, "He's not Bose. He's staying at a B&B up the road, mate." He said, "So someone's got that wrong. I got the wrong information." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, great, Robbo." I said, "I knew." He said, "I knew you wouldn't let me down, mate. I knew you, mate. You're a stickler for the rules." But I've told him. I told Curry Robbo wouldn't let us down. But it's hard to explain to people. That was the most gratifying moment for me personally, because it was like, this is now talking about something so deep, like dark in that world, right? And Bose is
huge relief for him.
Oh, it's just like, yeah, it was almost like letting him off the hook, He said, "Oh, that's all, Robbo." He said, "Oh, man." I said, I'm like, "Oh, it's great." And anyway, so as I got up and leave, I just turned around. I said, "Mate, Bose, thank you for that conversation, mate." Like, I can't tell you about them. Then we had a kiss. No, we didn't. But I just said, "Thank you for that conversation, Bose." I said, "Thank you, mate, for that." He said, "Robbo, all good, mate. All good." But from that moment on, I just, I started, I spoke to a couple of reporters, and I just realised I've been such a dickhead.
So when did it come out? And did it come out during the tour?
I came out that gay on the tour, yeah.
Oh, did it? So when it came out, was it?
Yeah. But it kind of hit the news because that would have been just before. That would have been end of November then.
Yep.
And I stayed over in England for about a month and a half after the tour.
So what's your reaction, Ian? What'd you get? So you come out. So what's the reaction from fans or?
Yeah. It's a lot. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of disbelief. But I never. and that's what I mean. I said when I said about visibility before, how important visibility is.
Mm.
You know, that's what I realised. I missed an opportunity to come out much sooner than this, which I think would have been stronger. You know, at a time I came out in '94. In 1990, when I left South to go to Manly, I was going to come out then, but there was a guy by the name of Justin Fashanu. Justin Fashanu, who was playing Premier League soccer over in England, he came out in 1990, right?
Yeah.
And got brutalised. Now, he didn't, like, he could have done better for himself in the way he came out and the way he handled things in the first few years. But I remember seeing, and again, this was a time there's none of this, right? So following the story, you only got bits of the story.
Yep.
Um,
And they sensationalised it big time.
Oh, he was brutalised, mate. Yeah. But he didn't help him. Well, you know, I can look back now because I know the history quite well. He could have done things much better. Yep. He tried to make it. It felt like he tried to make a bit of a money grab out of it as well.
Okay, right.
He retired in '94. He went over and started coaching in the States and got mixed up with some bad stuff over there as well. Had some charges laid against him, came back to the UK in '98 and died of suicide in '98.
Yeah, right.
But that's such a familiar story. For a game out of my generation, that's not an unusual story, right? And I remember seeing that. Like, I tried to track him down in '94. The reason I stayed in England in '94, stayed after was to try and track him down, and I wanted to talk to him.
Just to see what he did.
Yeah, and I did have some numbers for him, but he never... he never got back. Like, it was one of the, but that's fine. He, you know, but it was a missed opportunity for me because I did.
Can I ask you a really simple question, right? From a hetero,
Yeah,
never walked in your shoes. How hard is it?
I feel I've now stopped trying to read people's minds, right?
Yep. Yeah, but from your side,
No, that's what I'm saying. I've now, like, it used to be, well, you'd have to feel like, I'd always feel like, how are these going? Is this going to be a negative reaction, or like, are they going to be someone who's negative towards, or
you're anticipating all the time.
You're anticipating, and just looking for
little
signs, and just like,
right.
now it doesn't bother me. I just embrace it. But I wish, but that's like learning to play footy. It's just like you learn like it's through all the experiences and all the negative stuff and the positive stuff. Yeah, I've had some really ugly situations happen, like publicly with, you know, like, but I've also, you know, I've had friends who have died of suicide and related about it. Like, but it doesn't get any worse than that, mate. Like, when you, and you kind of realise the value of life, and like I said before, like the situation with my mum and dad and my brother and two sisters, that's been such a wonderful experience because of me being gay, right?
Yep.
Like, it's like diversity, it can be like a real gift. But, you know, I'm not going to say at times, it does get lonely at times, and you start doubting yourself. But we all go through that.
Mm.
Like, particularly as you get older, like, I think everyone goes through those experiences. It's like leadership, you know.
Yeah.
It's about leadership, you know. It's that quality of listening. Like, leadership's about listening as well, you know. Like, it's about not, you know, leadership's about stuff about, you know, you should always be prepared to, if you're going to ask someone to do something, always be prepared to do it yourself. Like, you know, at least be able to do it yourself. Like, I don't know, like, never, and humility. Like, it's about, I think, empathy. It's like, that's what leadership is for me. It's yeah, I mean,
Are you a good leader as a skipper when you
I don't know. When I was a captain.
Yeah, how'd you go?
Yeah, it was great, mate. And then, you know, that's, I always say
What did
that
you learn about yourself during that?
to listen. You know, you got to listen, like, you know, listen to people. Yeah, and sometimes you have to be firm, but it's about listening and taking on board. You know, we're all different, and everyone's got their own worries, and people different coping mechanisms. It's being, and you got to be just as flexible as you expect other people to be. You got to be. Well, in my opinion, any leader has to be really flexible. It's about it's and it's like, you know, you hear all those things, but about trust and all that, and that's all part of it as well. A great leader has there's a lot of trust there.
Yep.
You know,
Good values, good integrity, and all the above,
you know,
right?
like, I'd hate to be the leader that everyone's scared of.
Oh, really? By fear?
You know what I mean?
Only gets you so far, right?
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
I've, you know, like and we've all had those situations. We all know, and it just makes everything shit. Like it makes life shit.
So you talked about your best coach. Who was your best captains you played with then? Or you learned from, you must have thought about, I'll adapt a bit of that, I'll adapt a bit of that, or
Ellery was a great guy. Like Ellery Hanley when I was at like Mario also, but no buts. That sounded like I was going to dip. Mario was all about winning at any cost, and I understand that as well because I ended up being a bit like that too when I was at Manly. About you know I um, I didn't really care how much you. I mean, I look back now and I can understand why. You know, we talk about CT and the damages.
we'll come to that in a second.
All of that stuff didn't worry me
It
back
was a
then.
pretty robust era. Let's
Yeah,
face it.
you know, like it just like I felt like there were times I don't say there's any sense of pride. You know, if I'd killed someone on the field, it wouldn't have bothered me. Like I felt like it. I say that now. I say that now, looking back. I mean, it probably it would have, but when I used to go in and cut, you know, to try and cut someone, it was a full intention in getting them carried off. Like, which I don't say. No, but honestly, mate, I don't say that with any sense of pride and joy. Like,
Yeah, but that was the nature of the sport you're in, right?
yeah,
It's a warrior sport in that sense, wasn't it?
it's yeah, but
So why was Ellery above the rest then?
Ellery was, mate, it was just what um at training and stuff like that. Ellery would always be talking to you, would always be asking you stuff like was interested in you, was interested in how you're going, and like it was almost a bit of a coachish. Like it was like I'd never experienced that with, and I've never experienced that since or before my relationship with Ellery, and just but he was like that with all the players. You know, mate. And he wasn't being arrogant about it. He wasn't trying to get in your face about it. If someone did, you know, if you just said, I just don't really want to talk about it, that was fine too. He's always was, I'd never played with someone who's been like that. You know, it was always like, oh, this is more than just like, this sounds really dicky what I'm about to say. I'm like, it's almost like we're real friends.
Yep.
You know, I mean, like it
Yeah,
got
that's
like,
why you're going to go to battle with then, as you
Yeah.
were saying earlier, right?
exactly, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And having spoken to Ellery about that, like he said, that's all I ever told you. I just want to be everyone, you know, you get to know people, become their friends, and it's easier.
So look back, Ian, how much from a sporting point of view and the thing you learn in life, how much is in the head?
Oh, it's all in there. Like, oh no, like obviously a lot of it's physical and there's the training part, but when you believe in yourself, like it can be like, or you don't believe in yourself, it can either be debilitating, like really, like, or it can be absolutely exhilarating and like, yeah. But that's, I mean, you get those players, you know, like Andrew Johns and those freaks, like what Reece Walsh is going through at the moment.
Yeah.
You know? Like they're Wally.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't imagine what it would have been like to be at that level. I mean, I know when I was playing at Manly, there was days there where I felt invincible, like bulletproof.
Yep.
Like and it's an incredible drug, or it's an incredible feeling to feel that confident in yourself. And I said about slowing down and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, all that does. But I can't imagine like they're a whole other level that I was, because they were are physically and were physically better, like built for the game, more speed, and yeah, I can't imagine that must be exhilarating.
If you look back, any regrets?
Um, Football wise, I didn't win a grand final. Like in '96 when Manly won the grand final, I actually sat that year out because that was the whole Super League thing, and I sat that year out because the ARL, even though I was committed to playing, like fulfilling my contract, they weren't letting any Super League aligned player play State of Origin or play for Australia. So we challenged them in court. Me and Gordon Tallis both did that. So we both and we played. Actually, it was weird. Manly won the grand final playing against St George, and that's who Gordon was.
That's who you played for, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
But
regret.
no, I mean, I don't know. Regrets. Is an injury a regret? Like that my
Part of the deal, isn't it?
yeah. It's no, like football wise, it's gonna sound a bit boring. I'll come back to that saying about the visibility thing. About I wish I'd come out much earlier. I wish I'd come out in my teenage years. But you know,
An actual game, man, just standing as an observer of the game now, in those days, you've got to be offensive and defensive. Not much interchange in those days.
No.
You've also got to gut it out, hang in there. You've got to have tenacity. You've got to have energy. You've got to have ferocity.
No.
All that to win the game. As these days, you've got to, okay, it's a lot more speed, but there's a lot more interchange going on. Is it the same game?
Look, I honestly believe. I mean, I actually enjoy. I can watch the game now and be impartial that the teams are playing. I just enjoy the footy now.
Yeah, do you?
But I think the game's a better game to watch than when I was playing. Now, I'm not saying that the players are better. I think anyone who excelled in any generation would excel in any generation because you'd have all the technology and all that on your side too. So, like the Clive Churchills and they were always going to be a superstar regardless of what year they played. I think that, but I do enjoy, I enjoy this. I think the game's more of a spectacle now, like visually to watch with wingers like diving around the posts and all that stuff. The way the guys
enormous now compared to Kerry Bowstead floating around years ago, right?
Like apart from a few positions, like you got hooker, probably halfback, 5'8", and fullback. Everyone else is interchangeable. You have wingers playing the front row, like they pack into scrums. They're like, I mean, and also miss the. I miss the challenge and of scrums and that, because occasionally there was a chance you'd win the game against the head and that'd change the game. Well, none of that happened now. It's all about offense. But there's a lot more points scored now as well. There's a lot more, and I do believe it's been. Particularly the head trauma stuff. Now, I do believe in that's a really big concern and something we need to focus on.
All right, so I was just about to get on that now. So you played in the it's got to be probably one of the most robust eras of all time. You're talking about shots going on, bodies on the line.
Redfern, fair go.
Exactly, right?
It's true, right?
No, absolutely, right?
Redfern, fair go.
Absolutely. So, there's a few people out there damaged, as you know. So where are we up to in the whole CTE?
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, mate. There's it needs to be recognised.
Is it recognised?
More
and more. There's more and more players coming out of issues.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think there's enough talk and conversation and work being done in and around it with all the major sports, contact sports. There's a lot more players now, which I think I'm really grateful for now. Players, because it used to, I mean, people used to wear it as almost like a bit of a badge of honour getting knocked out,
and get back on the field again.
Yeah,
right? We get the magic sponge.
Remember Cement, Dave Gillespie?
Yeah.
They used to call him Cement because he used to hit like a cement truck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we played, I was playing for South. We played Canterbury at the Sydney Cricket Ground on Anzac Day. And I don't know this. I've only seen the tape, so this is how I know what happened. But Cement came off my blindside and cut me in half, right? What I do remember is waking up. It was like a beautiful day, and Maury, our trainer, had come back on, and I thought it was at Bondi Beach. I'm like, oh, Maury, what are you doing at Bondi, mate? I'm never but crazy thing was, 10 minutes later, I was back on the field playing again, right?
Mm.
Now, that could never happen. I mean, which I'm grateful. I mean, that sounds like a funny story, but it's not funny, right?
No,
it's not funny. And repeated head trauma is like serious stuff.
Yep.
And we know that now because there are players willing to speak about it. I mean, I've had a whole load of testing done, and there's that they've diagnosed that there probably is some damage there, which is. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful about the knowledge. I don't think it's something that needs to be hidden. I'm all about, education and research and trust the science. I'm grateful that there are other players now willing to speak up and talk about it. But there still needs to be a lot more done. With the major corporate, the bodies, with the NRL board, or the AFL, ARU, A-League, all that stuff. They need to sit down and get together and speak. It's almost like it's.
Sort of still dusted under the covers.
Yeah, that's what. That's what.
Everyone knows about it, but no one's bringing it up.
No one's talking about it. I don't know. It's just like things aren't getting. Yeah.
Well, think about it this day and age. If you're fresh, they're coming in hard.
Yeah.
I know you get sent off, etc. But accidents happen. Someone slips and you're going down. Bang! That's gonna be a big hit.
Yeah. you know, and but I also appreciate that the rule changes and all that. I mean, I respect all that stuff, and like,
Yep.
I you know, I got to be honest, I would sooner damage the quality of the game than uh, and see that suffer a little bit as opposed to damage being done
People.
professionally to people. Yeah,
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 I agree.
yeah.
What about when you finish the game? Like you said, sometimes there you're saying, I'm indestructible, I'm invincible, I'm feeling phenomenal, blah blah blah, and then suddenly, I'm done.
Yeah, it's
What
scary,
happens?
mate. It's I retired in at the end of '98, and I retired because I had a bit of a I had a bit of an episode with mental health. Uh,
What, depression?
um, yeah, but it was also uh, it was almost like a form of epilepsy. It's hard to explain. I was having some episodes, missing time and that type of thing.
Hmm.
And I just I had still had another year to run on my contract. The Super League, they were great, mate. They said like when I spoke to them about it, they said, "Look, don't worry, you get paid that, and and if you feel like you want to hang the boots up, just hang the boot." So that was a nice way of leaving. But uh, yeah, so I kind of retired because of that moment and the episodes I was having, time with the losing of time. Um, but I mean, yeah, it is. Like, it's hard how do you tell someone, "Oh, what."
And is it a
I
low?
pe I
Is it
peaked
a
at
big low straight
well,
afterwards?
yeah,
Yeah,
but, yeah, like, I'm 33 and, have I peaked? Is that's it? You know, and that's what it feels like, just like and that's what I was saying, like, what, about a year later, that's when I did the whole, NIDA thing happened.
yep,
I was just kind of fell into that. It was like I was
yeah,
so grateful, mate. Um it was like it was not that it was meant to be. It was just like I just so found my feet again, and going to NIDA for 3 years was wonderful. But yeah, it is an incredibly hollow, empty feeling, like, I do remember that. And like, all players talk about
mm,
that feeling like you're lost in a forest with this constant echo of nothing, just like, "Fuck, what do I like, I don't know," like and you've had so much people's admiration
yeah.
and it sounds like I'm being arrogant about it, but
And
it's
then you're suddenly yesterday's man.
yeah, it's not even that. It's just like, and you kind of realize that yourself. You're just like, oh, it's all over. Like I'm just like, that is hard to get your head around. It's like, what do I do from here? Where do I go to from here? I've had like 13, 14 years of this wonderful experience. Yeah, yeah, it does feel ghostly almost. Yeah.
Is it still the same for the young blokes out there who finish up?
Um, well, I know the NRL have a program now about educating people about all that stuff and what's coming and what's expected. I still think we can all the sports can be doing more. It's still a big gap to to bridge. But I will say, like, now, and generations before me would have found it much more difficult because most of them had to go back to work. You know, I mean, what really saved me, I mean, I was the last 3 years of Super League. I earned more than that 3 years at Super League than I had the previous 10.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, a lot more. It wasn't. Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, but I mean, I've been lucky. I've been yeah, I was grateful, but so the generations before me, like, I can't imagine that would have been incredibly difficult.
So you fell into acting then?
Uh,
Were
yeah,
you, were you always gonna were you gonna give it a crack, or what?
I didn't like, it wasn't until the car broke down and I was walking literally. It was honestly, it's one of those stories, mate. I was literally walking. I said, "I'll just pop in there so I can get back into some community theatre or something," because I still like it.
Mm,
Um, but I wasn't thinking it would be anything more than that because I still can't read and write. Right, there's still a time. This is
mm,
before that, So I
yeah.
just just going back to. I actually enjoyed like theatre. Um, I've always, like Dan and I, my partner, we still go to a lot of theatre now.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, it was kind of like I didn't really Kevin Jack.
So why'd you apply yourself to it then? I mean,
Well,
you
after
didn't have to. You could have said, "Oh,
no,
stand up.
just
Okay, I
just
can learn to read and write off the back of this," but you decided to make another
learning to read and write
career of this, right?
was so empowering in itself, but mate, like this whole other world got opened up to me.
Yep.
Like I don't know how to explain this to people
Yep.
who haven't been able to read and write, but when you I can imagine. I can't. This is God. I sound like a bit of a twat. I was going to say it's almost like someone who's been blind, seeing it, just like, oh my God, I've been living in this other world that I've not been able to be reading and being this whole part of all this stuff that was right in my world all the time, but I was never a part of. I was reading books, not very fast, but I was like to learn about the history of theatre and all that stuff. It was like so engaging and like. Yeah, it was almost like this sense of childhood again, like um, yeah, like curiosity
Mhm.
yeah, and the learning to read and write was what empowered the acting. Like
Yep.
it
And
was,
what do you enjoy about acting?
um,
Because
ju-
you've pursued it. It wasn't as
yeah,
if it
just
was
I think the vulnerability of acting and allowing yourself to play. Like that's what most people don't get. Like acting, and is, like most adults don't play. Like they don't spend any time they're just for the sheer joy of whatever it is
Mhm.
playing. And that's what that's what I found with acting. It's just like it allows you to play, uh, and it's empowering. There are those moments I spoke about those moments when you're playing footy and things slow down.
Yep.
Well, I've had those moments in acting where we're just like you're on stage and something just drops in. You're just like, oh, I get this. I get what this is all like. It's almost like you reach this other level of like spirituality or something mythical. Like it sounds like a real wank, right? But you're just like, oh no, I get what.
like Nirvana or some form,
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
just like I understand what I'm doing here. I'm like I'm sharing this story with the
Yeah.
audience. And I'm a part
And
of
they're
it.
with me type thing.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's a real team thing, and
Mm.
like acting is like sports, just theatre, mate.
Mm.
Like
It is, isn't it?
it's played in a stadium.
Yep.
You know, it's a bit more reactive. You know, like yeah, yeah, but it's just a form of theatre. It's just like, and I kind of learnt that halfway through the acting course, and also you know all those silly classes, all those silly things you hear that you know like you know for the next hour you're going to be a piece of seaweed and like I know this sounds pathetic, right?
Yep.
Like because there are those classes, right?
Right,
That
okay.
they do happen. That they're not
Okay.
all mythical.
Okay.
And but it's when you realise what they're about. It's just and this sounds difficult, and I'm not crazy, but it's just allowing yourself to do it, just to totally let it all go.
Yep.
You know, I was saying about pretending that you're something like me holding on to the whole thing about not being able to read and write.
Yep.
So letting all that go, and just go with this with the music that's in there, and just there's a wave coming, and the teacher takes you through it. But I understand why they do those exercises. It's just about letting go. It's not being embarrassed. Everyone in the room's doing the same thing. Like it's just, and it's kind of so empowering, mate. It's
Mm.
like it is the most empowering, freeing, like stuff that I did at NIDA. It's just like I would have thought I was too old to be able to learn or to understand. It's incredible, mate. I mean, I've had moments on stage where I forget that it's acting. Like it sounds weird. Like Kate Box, who's an Australian actress. Kate was, and she's doing really well now.
Mhm.
Kate was in my year, and like she's extraordinary. She was like from day one, you could tell she was a standout in our year.
Right.
But we did this. We did this. I can't remember the name of the play, but I was in this scene with her, and I forgot I was like I forgot who I was. I didn't know who I was talking. Like it was. She was so like real. I'm like I was lost if it was Kate or the act. I'm just like, and it kind of threw me. It was one of those moments. Like she was so good, right? But I also know I've had those moments too. Like you know, and when you get there, you think I get it.
Yep.
Like she just got there a lot quicker than I did. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's almost like those moments. It's like I get why we're doing this. I'm sharing this moment with the audience. Yeah, yeah, but
Is
it's
the adulation the thrill? Like, do you actually hear it or not?
oh yeah. It is. It can be empowering. Like, but it is also the extremes the dark places you can go to as well, and that you're allowed to go to. Like that's the other thing. You're allowed to go to those places, which is most people don't allow themselves to go there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you're allowed to like you know you go through the rehearsal process for 8 weeks. You're doing a play. You know, you rehearse for 8 weeks, and you might only do it for 2 or 3, but through the 8 weeks, it's like yeah, you allow yourself to play and to go to places in your head. And even if you don't use it, you mightn't use it on stage, but um, it's an incredibly education. It's even more than that. It's just about there are aspects that if I hadn't done my acting, I'm a better person, I reckon, for having done that course and yeah, empathy and yeah, it just allows you allow yourself to go to places you would never do.
So what made you go to the States then? Was that part of the whole,
Yeah,
I
it
want
was
to
just
pursue it, or
yeah,
I
it
wanted
was
some quiet time away from Australia? What was it?
yeah, it was yeah, there was more opportunity there.
Yep.
And
Okay, okay. So you were off there to go and act.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I I mean, the truth is this is gonna get dark, a bit dark now. Um, and we'll talk about my doco after. This is
Yeah.
kind of how what the doco is about, really. Um, I ended up going to the States really because I just had to leave Sydney urgently. Like I had a drug issue.
You
Um,
had a drug issue?
yeah, 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 yeah. And I just had to get out of Sydney. I just knew I had to get out of Sydney, otherwise I felt like um, it would suffocate me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know anyone in LA. That's not true. I knew two people in LA acting related.
Yep.
One of them was a friend who was an agent. So I literally booked myself on a flight the same day. I had this moment, just this, Ian, leave this place now.
Yeah, right.
And I was on the flight 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Is that right?
and I spent 6 months there. Like I ended up getting a place to stay there. Yeah, I came back for a month or two. And I ended up spending about 4 years there. Yeah, yeah.
Enjoy
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it was great. Like it got me better too. That the whole drug addiction issue.
What were you doing? What sort of drugs?
Meth.
Were you really?
Yeah, yeah. Now, can I like I was going to save this for the doco.
You know,
Yeah,
that's just that's enough we need to know at this
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
And that was a really dark night. It was a very dark time of my life, but it was a life and like it felt like it was a life and death thing.
Well, good on you for having the courage to deal with it and get on with it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And you came back?
I came back because my dad got sick. When I
Okay,
came back,
right.
dad passed away, and we just Dan and I had planned to go back um, to to the US,
Mhm.
but as it turned out, we just never went.
Now, you've also worked for one of the best directors of all time. Gentleman who's done Mad Max. Yeah.
George is a champion, mate. He was
So
like,
you reckon he's one
if
of the best leaders you've ever
yeah,
seen, isn't he?
yeah. If you want to, you talk about leadership. He uh, he's one of those people. Even he'll tell you he's only as good because of the people around him. He's only as good as he is because of the people around him. He'll listen to everyone, um, and he'll listen to everyone from the catering to the lighting to the actors. If you have a suggestion, he'll sit down and listen to you. That's what he said. Like he's an extraordinary guy.
Yeah, right.
Extraordinary guy.
Two last things then. Qtopia.
Yeah.
For those out there, what is it?
Um, it's it's really like a queer museum. Now it's
This is on Taylor Square.
yeah, it started. We got the idea originally came up 2016. It was myself, Dan, and another friend, Linda Scott. Were at a
Oh, yeah, the Parliament. I know, Linda.
I
Yeah.
love Linda.
Yep.
We were at a memorial for a kid named Justin. Not Justin. I've got Justin Fashion on my head. Tyrone Unsworth.
Right.
Tyrone was a young kid who died of suicide when he was 13.
Wow.
Was bullied for being gay. And Linda and I, because I'd been on Linda's card a couple of times, she was a counsellor,
Yep.
just to help her with that. That was never really a serious thing.
Was it serious?
No,
Okay, all right.
it was just for publicity and to help Linda. We had spoken about doing a museum about 3 or 4 years before, and we had tried, but the council weren't really receptive to it. But with Tyrone at the event for Tyrone and the memory of Tyrone, we're just like, "Oh, we can do better like this. Like, how can we change this around? And because Dan, my partner, is at that time he was a school teacher, and education is the best way. Like I'm all about education, mate. Education, education, education. Like I just really think that's our greatest sword and shield for anything.
Mhm.
So we were all part of the Linda's a Labor councillor. Dan he's been Labor member for a long time, and I'm a Labor person as well. So we just decided that we'd approach as many Labor ministers as we knew and see if they could steer us in the right direction. Like Tanya Plibersek came on board, Penny Sharp came on board, everyone we spoke to. We spoke to a few Liberal people who weren't as receptive. I'm not trying to be
Apolitical.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was going. It was, and then then Chris Mims, and at that point, both federally and state-wise, the Libs were in power. But we kept on. So this is like 2016, 17.
Okay.
Then in 2021, reapproached because Labor had, I think, 21. Was it 21 or 22? 21. We'd been canvassing and doing all that stuff. Loads of politicians, and we'd spoken to a whole load of different sponsors, and that would they be involved? Labor got into power statewise. They were totally open. They were really supportive. The police station at Taylor Square there, was an option.
Yep.
They granted it. It was wonderful, mate. Like it was. I mean, this is
next to the law courts, right?
Yeah, exactly. But this isn't. This has all come from the suicide of a young kid, which is a very familiar story in our community, right? This young kid. He said he was going to kill himself because he was being bullied, and that's what he did the next day. Anyway, Then we had some big sponsors come on board. The Murdochs got involved. That was great. We opened in 2 Februaries ago.
Is it going okay?
Yeah, it's going great. Yeah. I've stepped away now because I'm doing the stuff with the doco.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll get re-involved again at some point. It's great, mate. I really do believe in the education stuff. I just, particularly around schools and what I do. I'm part of another program called Think About It that we do. It's theatre sports, but it's when we talk about like those awkward subject matter that corporations deal with, like misogyny, bullying, homophobia, loose language. I'm real like I think education is our best means to move forward. But you got to be able to have a conversation. Any conversation starts with a smile. Like people don't understand what I mean by that. Like if you're going to talk about stuff, it's okay to have differences of opinions, but you got to be at least be able to look at each other, and it doesn't have to be nasty, right?
Yeah.
I believe in the education side of things.
All right. What's the documentary? Come on. What are you working on?
Well, the doco Into the Light. Obviously it's based around, like, we were talking about visibility before. I mean, I was the second person in the world to come out as a gay man in a contact team sport. Like, I say second because Justin Fashion was the first, right? But Justin was treading a path that no one had ever done before. And I said before that he could have handled it better. But there was, he was the first. It was
right.
And I kind of learnt things from his mistakes, or what I perceived to be mistakes. Maybe they weren't. I don't know, but and I kind of feel like really fortunate that I was the second. Like I say that because his story is so familiar to so many people. It's and that's what I was saying before about the heated rivalry, the show that I was talking about, the hockey players and the victim stuff.
Yep.
Like everyone expects it to always end dark. I mean, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, so heated rivalry mightn't end dark, but that's how I'm perceiving.
Yep.
But
pretty normal, pretty much going to script, right?
Yeah. So with Qtopia and the doco, sorry, but it takes a really sharp, dark corner.
Oh, I'll start with, what's the genesis of it? So who came up with it? Why are you doing it?
Well, I've been wanting to do it for a long time because I think we can do better, right?
Is that what's driving it?
Yeah. I really think we can do better. I keep saying about education, and with my own personal experience, like it speaks about the drug issue, like I said earlier. Like, I mean, I think this is the first podcast I've spoken to about that because, because I want it to be important in the doco. Right?
Yep, fair enough.
But we're close enough now to talk about that side of stuff.
Yeah, your
But,
wife certainly has some ups and downs then, hasn't
yeah,
it?
oh yeah, absolutely, mate. And that's what I mean. Like I didn't want people. That the reason, like people, I don't want people to think it's all been like a green light for me. It's all been good and like it's all been a rainbow because it hasn't. Like, I've had my own experiences where things have been really dark and quite catastrophic,
Okay.
which we touch on in which I don't talk about much, right?
Yep.
Again, because of what I was saying about the victimhood stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
like, we better like, but people always expect. I don't know. I feel like the general public always expect it to be a dark or something situational story, and I'm like, my life wasn't like that. Yeah, it had those aspects, but I'm so blessed to be gay. And anyway, but I said about you learn from your experiences, and like these dark experiences I've had. I learned from that. I talk about how difficult it was with footy and my family situation. I talk about my parents and their limited view of diversity.
Yeah.
And the doc. But about a third of the way through, I talk about um, a story of. I mean, there's been three young fellas that I've known in my life that have really changed my perspective on life. Aaron Light, which is a young friend of mine. Aaron was, I met Aaron at a hospital. Aaron ended up like being murdered. Blake Stenning was another young fella that I met at the launch of the Mental League calendars. Blake was. It was about 7 when I met him. Blake died when he was 8. He died of HIV. He was born.
Oh, right.
He was born like 2 months prem, and then had an operation 6 weeks later. That's where he picked up the virus. But his whole life, now it was beautiful. Like and I don't want to sound like but I only got to meet him the last couple of years of his life, right? But his life had been really dark because we're now talking the early 90s. There was no cure.
Yep.
He had not had a normal life. His mum was a single mother. She didn't have any much support from her family. She was doing it all on her own. And me and my friends, but kind of became this kid's family. It talks about him and the way people, you're able to enrich people's lives.
Mhm.
And the third one is Tyrone Unsworth, the young kid I was just talking about.
Yeah.
The way that impacted my life, because that just kind of changed. I was just like, we can do better. Like, this is so appalling. Anyway, so that's what the doco is about. It takes a hard turn about halfway through, and we speak about, but then we talk about, depending on how it finishes now, what education and the benefits of embracing diversity and the gift that diversity is. And I consider myself really fortunate, mate. Yes, I've had like an incredible life, but there is also stuff that still is that I find hard to deal with. But I still think I'm a better person for having been through it. It's like the drug issue. Like, I'm a better person for having had that drug. I am such a better person. Yeah, but we talk about that, and that's what I wanted the doco to be about. It isn't all about. We're hoping for release about the third state of origin.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want it all to be about being gay. Like it is, but it's
Bigger than that.
yeah. But we can do better, Like I
Yep.
say, you're not like just having these conversations, which is why I kind of embrace and I appreciate like people like being prepared to sit down and talk about this stuff because it makes a difference. There'll be those kids in regional areas, mate, that won't hear much else.
Yep.
But they might hear about this podcast and they'll listen to this. They'll listen to this. It's stuff like that. That's why Qtopia is so important. The museum is like.
You're still getting around a lot in doing.
Yeah. I still
stuff.
do talks. Yeah. I'm always open and willing to do stuff like that, particularly at schools. I think that's where. But I'm also now of a generation where most school kids don't know of my past, right?
Yeah.
So we need the younger guys like the Isaac Humphries who came out in the basketball a couple of years ago, and Josh Cavaliero, who He's now gone to England. He came out in the A-League about 4 years ago. We need those. And I should just premise this too, mate. Women's sport just doesn't seem to have the issues that being gay in men's sport does. Like I mean, I do a lot of talking events, and when I speak at women's functions, I almost feel a bit fraudulent, like because the women are like kind of all over. Like I feel like a bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, they seem to be more totally embracing of same-sex attraction, and it doesn't seem to be. It definitely isn't the issue that it is in men's sport. But men's sport does come out, but it's still an awkward conversation. Like I say that awkward. It's like to think about it stuff that we do. It's still, you start talking about men's private and personal feelings, and it still becomes awkward for some people. And like that's why we try to use so much comedy in it. But yeah, I do think, and that's why I talk about visibility about as well. Like it's.
So is this going to be the future for you, Ian?
I don't know, mate. Like I don't know. Like I've always had this saying, and this sounds a bit weird, that you and I have known each other for 3 or 4 years now, mate.
Yeah.
I've always been an animal person. I would love to run like that. That's what I'd really like to. If I could get up and do what Ian Roberts wanted to go and do now, it would be like an animal shelter or rescue or something like that. But I mean, would be a part of that. Yeah, I did a training course at Taronga Zoo to be a zookeeper. That's 10 years ago, but I couldn't finish it, mate, because it broke my heart.
You're right.
Yeah. But I do wish I had finished it now. Like in my ignorance, I should have stuck to it. You know what I mean? But yeah. But anyway,
Last question we ask everyone, Ian. If you're looking back at that young bloke growing up in botany, what advice would you give him now?
What I know now is just follow your instinct, mate. Trust your instinct and trust you. And we use that term, trust your gut. I wish I trusted that a lot more than what I did. That's how I would tell him. But the reasons for, because I couldn't read and write, I always felt dumb. I always felt like somehow I wasn't, that what I was thinking couldn't be the best thing because I was dumb. And I really used to believe that about myself, mate. The power of a thought, right? Yeah, trust your instinct.
Oh, that, Ian. Thanks very much for joining us today on No Limitations. It's been a great discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.